Hey, this is Dan from Ramblin' Ambition, and today we're going to go over something we bought for the van to kind of get us through those times during the summertime where it's a little bit warm, but we still want some air conditioning. We chose not to install air conditioning in our van because we wanted to maximize the roof space that we had. It's a choice that we made. It's not for everybody, but we did want to have the opportunity to cool the inside of the van, and we looked at some portable solutions, and the Ecoflow Wave 2 is the solution we chose. In this video, I'm going to go over how this thing sets up, and then we'll go set it up in the van, and then afterwards I'll talk about some of our experiences with it in real use situations. So if this is something you're interested in, please stick around for the video. All right, obviously we've already unboxed this and it's already been used. You can buy the Ecoflow unit. It's just a standalone unit without a battery, and you can either plug it into a 110 source to use in your house. You can plug it into a 110 source in your van if you have an inverter with a battery system, or you can do what we chose to do, which is to buy the add-on battery. So this add-on battery is 1100 watt hours worth of battery. The manufacturer claims that it will give you about 4 hours to 4.5 hours in cooling mode if it's set kind of moderately and it's not super hot or super humid outside. If it's cool and you're just taking the edge off of things and you have this in eco mode, so this has got a lot of different functions on it, then it can of course last a whole lot longer than that based on how much power it's pulling. My experience with this has been that it pulls somewhere between 275 and 300 watts when it's in not maximum cooling, but when you have the thermostat set on this at about 71 degrees with a temperature outside of the van somewhere in the 80s or 90s with about 80% humidity, and it's about 85 degrees in the van. So basically when you're running this on cooling mode, it's going to pull about 300 watts of power. And on an 1100 watt battery, all you got to do is the math, and that's going to give you about 3.5 hours worth of cooling for this unit. So if you buy the add-on battery, you can also buy this and plug it into another Delta power source through this plug. You can plug it into a generator. You can do all kinds of things. One of the benefits of this is you can use it in a small room. You can use it as backup air conditioning in your house in the summertime. You can use it in the van or in your small camping setup. So it's got a lot of uses to it. This one, the Ecoflow 2, also is a heat pump, so it will produce heat at the same time. So how this all works is basically the main unit, and you can see that it's got spaces, and then the battery has got little ears on it, and basically you just sit it on until it goes and then push it until it clicks. So the way this works is it's a normal air conditioning unit. If you were to take this off, you'll see that there's a compressor in the bottom of it, and so you've got to have, it comes with a bunch of accessories. So the cool air is going to come out of the front, the exhaust air is going to come out of the top, and the intake is in the back. And so they give you a couple shrouds to be able to put in place to accept the hoses that come with it. They have some clips, and they clip into the grates on the top of the Ecoflow, and you just clip it in place. There's one for the back as well. And it basically goes like that. Now, the system also comes with the hoses that you need. So basically these are discharge and intake hoses. So the way these work is you pull them out to get them where you need to go, and then it has a twist lock connector. You can hear it click, and that positively puts it in place. And then you just unscrew it. And then they compress and they fit back. So the bigger one is the intake. It does the same thing. You see here it has on the back of the unit, and basically it fits in the same way. And you just turn it till it clicks, and then you can undo it. So this can go to the outside. I don't know if you actually need it, like if you're going to sit it in front of your van, because like in your vehicle itself, if you want the cooling capacity to increase, you just push the recirculation valve on the AC unit in the car, and what that does is it pulls the air that goes across the coil from the inside the vehicle, so instead of pulling it from the outside of the vehicle, so it cools it a little bit faster. You can use this to pull air from the outside, or you can leave it off and just let it pull from inside the van. So either way you do it, it just needs to have some fresh air. And then the issue with the AC is you have to exhaust this out of the top and get it out. Otherwise, it's just going to put hot air back inside the van. So in order to do that, Ecoflow gives you a piece of foam to stick in the window that has 2 openings that fit those 2 hoses. I chose to buy this piece from Terrawagen. It's made specifically for the Sprinter. It goes in the door panel where the window is. So when you roll the window down, this will fit right above it. It goes up into the door channel. And then on the bottom, you can see where the window actually comes in. And then it's got 2 notches or 3 notches for where the output hose goes and the intake hose for the air. And this just sits in your window. The hoses connect to that. And now you have air that gets exhausted out of your van, and you have fresh air coming into your van. And when we go through the setup, I'll show you how all that works. But this is about, I think it's $150 shipped from Terrawagen, and it's well worth the purchase if you're going to use it the way that we have been using it. Also in your kit, you have the electrical connector. So this connection just connects the battery to the main unit, and it just plugs in like that. And then you have 2 ports on the side of the van, on the side of the Ecoflow. If you buy the extra battery, this is where you're going to plug in to charge the battery. The battery can only be charged with the battery connected to the main unit, or you can run this. This is where you make the connection to run it from AC power. It also has a smaller plug here that you can connect solar panels to through the Ecoflow ecosystem, or you can use a 12-volt charger to then therefore charge that battery. Since this is a compressor, it does have condensate, and on the back there is a condensate drain that drains the actual pan for the air conditioner itself. And you just slide the hose on like that, plug it back in, and then drain this somewhere to the outside. We'll primarily be using this for air conditioning in the van. We have the Webasto diesel heater, so we don't need this for a heat source. So we'll only be bringing this if we're out during the summertime in climates where it doesn't get cool enough at nighttime, and we just want to take the edge off inside the van. But it does have heat pump capacity, so if you don't have heat in your van, this can heat your van as well. So from an energy standpoint, it isn't the most efficient thing out there, but it will do a good job of bringing the temperature down inside your van in certain circumstances. Head out to the van and we'll get it set up. All right, this is what the Terrawagen window inserts made specifically for the Sprinter vans. This is the intake, and then this is the hot exhaust. So I'm thinking about getting like some screen material and covering this just so that stuff doesn't go inside of it. But it fits up nicely into the window channel, and then the window slides up into this recessed portion. So, and it's not super loud either. All right, we got the Ecoflow Wave 2 running. And we have the window panel. and the funny looking hoses, but we got nice cool air coming out. We'll see how long it takes to get everything straight. So right now it's the Ecoflow Wave 2 is on max. I have the temperature set to 71 on the thermostat. It's 93 degrees outside. It's 92 degrees in the van. And so I just started it, and we'll come back in let's say 10 minutes and see if the temperature has changed at all. All right, you can still hear it running in the background. We are 20 minutes in, and so I have temperatures at the unit, which is on the floor, and there's a sensor right up toward the roof of the van all the way in the back. And so that sensor read 93 degrees before we got started, and now it's down 20 minutes later to 89. And at the unit, when I turned it on, it was 90 degrees on the floor level, and it's down to 84 in 20 minutes. So we'll give it another 20 minutes and see what happens. All right, we're at 40 minutes, so it's 20 minutes since the last time I came out here, and the temperature at the unit is 81 degrees. And the temperature at the top of the ceiling all the way in the back of the van is 87.5. So we're slowly cooling down. So we'll see what happens 20 minutes from now. All right, back out. It's 20 minutes later, and we are at 79 degrees at the machine and 86 degrees at the top of the van in the back. So it's cooling it off. It's not doing it super fast, but it is cooling it off. It's still 88 degrees outside right now, so it's been a hot day all day. So far so good. We'll see. Come back in 20 more minutes. All right, we are at an hour and 20 minutes, and it is really comfortable in here. So the sensor at the back of the van is at 84 degrees, and that's at the roof, back door right above the bed. And then it is about 77 degrees down here by where the Ecoflow is. So our thermostat is set at 71. The output temperature of the air coming out is 59 degrees. And we've got about an hour and a half left of the battery on this thing. So the machines had to work pretty hard to cool the van down from where it sits right now. So we've used a lot of our battery life. So it looks like I've got about half of the battery life left. And so by turning the fan down, it doesn't reduce the cooling capacity. It just slows down how hard it's working. And so it looks like we got, at its current rate, a couple hours left on the main battery. Now, we can certainly plug it in to the van itself and use the 600 amp hours of battery that we have, which should power us well through the night. But honestly, we're just trying to use this to knock the edge off in the evening. And I think it's really going to do that for us. So I was opposed to putting air conditioning in the top of the van because I really wanted to capitalize on our roof space for the 2 max air fans, which were not running, so that would obviously help to be able to make sure that we maximize their solar panels. All right, so you can see that the setup was pretty simple. This thing does weigh about 40 pounds with the battery on it. It's certainly not really heavy, but it is heavy, and it does take up quite a bit of space. So in our garage, we can slide this on our pull-out tray and get it out, and then just bring it into the van when we need to, stick it between the 2 seats like we had it installed, and use it in that format. And that seemed to work pretty well for us. Now, some real world sides of things, we went through the test of kind of how it was cooling off in the driveway. I was recently down to see my son in South Carolina. And in South Carolina in the summertime is super humid and hot. And to be honest with you, it struggled. I think that because of the humidity and the heat that was down there, that this really didn't perform the way that I thought it would. I used it up in the mountains where it was warm during the day and then it cools off at night, and it worked great. So I think the difference is just the humidity. So if you're in an environment where it's really humid, I think that this is really going to struggle, because I think the most I ever got out of it for the few nights that we were down there was maybe 2.5 hours. Because in order for it to bring the temperature down enough to make it comfortable, we had to run it on high, and it really was pulling a lot of watts, so that the battery really only lasted about 3 hours, and then it was done. And then we ended up plugging it into the main battery system on the van to run it the rest of the night. So once it gets cooled down, it is effective at keeping the van cool. It's nice and quiet, but honestly, it didn't perform the way that I had hoped it would. This costs around $1,600 with the add-on battery, and then if you add another $150 for the window kit, you're pushing $1,800 with tax and shipping and everything else. And while it does do what it says it's going to do, again, if you're in humid environments, you might just want to consider that expense. If you're primarily traveling down near the beach or in the lower parts of the United States or whatever country you're in, where the humidity is really high during the day and in the evening, that this unit's really going to struggle trying to keep things cool, because the processing of that hot, humid air, I think, is a struggle at the battery rated capacity. If you have a place to plug it in and you can run it on high, so if you're at a campground or in a place where there's power and you can plug this thing directly into a 120 volt source and let the thing run all day as high as it can get, I think it'll do a fabulous job. But if you're relying on the battery, just understand that your battery capacity is going to be limited. So it is controlled through the app, so the functions and features of how to use it are really simple. They're really easy to use, and you can sit there on your phone and change the temperature. You can change the fan speed. You can turn it off. You can turn it on. You can do a lot of features and functions through their app, and that interface is really, really nice, and I really like it. You just have to be aware that this does have its limitations. I think it's going to work okay for us, because a lot of times we're going to the mountains to escape the heat, not going to the heat. But particularly if you're off grid, just understand that the battery is gonna dwindle faster than perhaps you think it should if it's hot and humid outside. So hope you guys got something from the video. This is a great product. I like Ecoflow stuff. I think they produce great battery powered systems. And this is another example of it. It does what it's supposed to do. It just has limitations from a power use standpoint. And I like the fact that it's a compressor. I like the fact that it has a drain and a pump to drain the condensate out. And like I said, if we were camping at a campground and you could turn this thing on and just leave it, and I think it would keep your van really nice and cool the whole time. So just something, it's another tool in the toolbox. There are a couple other things out there. If you chose not to put an air conditioner in your van and you live somewhere near the coast or in hot, humid areas, just realize this is an option. It just is you just have some power challenges with it. So again, hope you got something from the video. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like the video, leave us a thumbs up and leave a comment. We always enjoy those. And we'll see you next time.